What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Jada here, and today I am joined by my brother Michael.
Hello.
Today we're going to be discussing The Acolyte, as promised.
Yeah.
I spoke about it a little bit over on my main channel, but we're finally going to be talking about the actual show and not the criticisms necessarily that I spoke about in my video, or maybe we might talk about it a little bit because I think it's valid. I think it would make sense to connect it back to what we talk about in this video. Michael here is really more so a Star Wars fan than I am. Yeah, has several shirts, mind you. I think I only have like one Yoda t-shirt, that's it. He probably has way more notes than I did. That's why I invited him on to talk about it. And then I'll just kind of interject like my thoughts here and there. We're gonna pretty much go kind of episode by episode, but not give too much detail, but just enough. We're just gonna talk about our likes and dislikes. There were some likes, surprisingly, but they did get overridden by a lot more that we dislike. I'll probably just really quickly go through the cast. Hopefully I don't botch their names, but I'm gonna go through the main people. So we have Amandla Stenberg. She plays both Osha and also May. So they're twins in the show. Then we have Manny Jacinto, who plays, is it Kimmer?
I think it's Kamir.
Kamir? Okay. Yeah. Daphne Keane, she plays Jackie Lon.
Is that the fish lady?
I think that's the fish lady.
Oh, okay. She wasn't bad. All right.
Yeah. Rebecca Henderson, Vernestra Rao. Oh, she's the green lady.
Oh, the green.
Yeah. We're gonna get into that. Yeah. Charlie Bennett is Yord Fandar. Lee Jung-jang, he plays Soul.
The GOAT. Let's go. He's the GOAT for this show.
He was probably one of my favorite characters in the show. Margarita Laviva. Mother Coral.
Oh, the one with the horns.
Yeah, the horns. Yeah. And then Carrie Ann Moss, she played Indara. Oh, Kelnaka.
Oh, he was
Kelnaka.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jonas Suotamo. Yeah. Jodie Turner-Smith, she played Mother Anicia. There we go. Now that we got that out of the way, we're going to dive into our thoughts about the show. Okay, obviously other people have shared theirs. There have been many videos. So we're just gonna dive right into it. He literally has them separated. Concern. Go ahead.
Concern 1. Concern 2.
Concern 1.
My opening concern was we actually open up the first episode where we're in a cantina, kind of like the one in Mos Eisley on Tatooine, right? And we just see May, as we're introduced to her, she's walking up to the table where Master Indara is. It's Naomi from Matrix.
It took me a while to realize.
Right, I didn't even realize that either.
I was like, oh yeah, that is her.
Why is this random Jedi just in this bar, just chilling out? And she just turns to me like this.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Child.
Do they chill out at these bars like that? Or is not Jedis? They don't do that?
Yeah, it's like
I have to ask because I don't really know.
And we saw Obi-Wan in the bar, it was for a reason. That's another part I had here where I was like, why is she here? Mm-hmm. We never find that out. If she's gathering information or something, she's just there. So the fight choreography between May and Indar was actually my first positive for this one. I thought it was actually pretty good. Especially for someone who, like, they're just using blades versus a lightsaber that can cut through everything. Mm. She was doing pretty good. I thought it was pretty alright.
Now, not all of the combat scenes were as good, but that was decent, in my opinion.
She kills Master Indara, the knife to the chest, because she distracts her with a hostage situation that she creates. We go over to now Osha, right? This is our first introduction to Osha, one of the twins. She's on a ship, and she's an engineer. And there's a fire suddenly when she's working out in space. And problem number 1, why is there fire in space when there's no oxygen in space?
What? Don't they have explosions throughout Star Wars, even though it doesn't technically make sense?
They do have explosions, but it's like, you wouldn't think the fire would just last that long.
Yeah, it should be like a...
it should be like a flare, like poof, and then like...
And then suck back in, maybe.
Yeah, so maybe that criticism isn't as strong because they might have other examples in other Star Wars, but it was just sort of like, Patrick, why is there fire underwater? Also, this is the point where we get like an illusion of... She literally sees fire, and she's like... And it was just sort of like... Couldn't build that up a little bit more and introduce that later because it felt like too soon to just throw that in there.
Yeah.
We get introduced to the Jedi in this episode as well. One of them is her friend named Yord. I call him Mixed Race Anakin.
Basically.
Yeah, Mixed Race Anakin.
Mixed Race Anakin.
Yeah, and it was just sort of like, okay, we have Mixed Race Anakin here. I didn't have any problems with him per se. It was more so with his friend, the Zygerian Jedi, the cat lady. Reason being that that should not exist because the Zygerians were enemies of the Jedi as a species. During the Old Order, it was before the Jedi that we see of the prequels. They had essentially destroyed the Zygerian slave empire because they were slavers. The Zygerians were enemies of the Jedi even up to the Clone Wars, which the Acolyte takes place 100 years before the Clone Wars, I believe. The Jedi, they don't really,
that's true.
yeah, you don't really sign up to be Jedi. They go out to find you.
Like
how we see in the later episodes.
See.
Then we get to the allegation where that Cantina guy, the owner, that May spared, he comes in and he literally just like, that one, yeah, she's the one who did this stuff, who messed up my canteen and killed the Jedi. And the Jedi just are like, oh, okay, yeah. You're in a galaxy where people can actively change their faces. The Jedi can just use their mind capability, like they can literally just read your mind. And they do this a lot in the show itself.
Oh, so you're saying basically, how would you just trust what he's saying?
How would you just trust what he's saying?
I think that was another problem that I had is like, you know, a lot of the rules that obviously were set in the original Star Wars episodes. It's almost like they tried to make a whole new thing altogether and was like, we're setting new rules and standards here. So whatever you knew, it's now irrelevant because we're not going to be implementing that in this one.
But yeah, basically they end up on a ship. Osha can't really use her force powers, which I thought was a good idea, that she couldn't use them because she's rusty. That we saw this with Ahsoka. She'd been out of practice for a while. When she crashes on Karlak, this is the snow planet, she meets this little version of her other sister, right? And she just turns around and she just says, "Hello, Osha." It was just the most anticlimactic thing I think I saw.
I think she might have been being like haunted in her dreams by that whole situation.
Right.
Because like, how would you approach like seeing a vision just so calmly like that?
Yeah.
And not have like a, you know, like there's no jolt, no like, yeah, it just was odd.
It was a little weird, yeah. Saul knows about Osha. You know, he's the only one in the current
Yo,
crew, you know.
Is it Saul or Soul?
I think it's Saul.
Because you keep saying Saul, and I'm just like, is it Saul or am I hearing Soul and I'm crazy?
It wasn't Saul, it was Saul, yeah.
Okay.
Right. He knows about May. He did not tell the Jedi Order about it. And he just suddenly was like, oh yeah, you know, she had a sister. Well, that would have been nice to know.
To know, yeah.
Like, to tell us that, even if you thought she was dead. And later on, when they finally find Osha on the planet, he also from falling off the cliff, and he's like, May's alive. And he's just like, I believe you.
Yeah.
Why? Why you're just taking her word for it?
It seems like there's no sense of like, I don't trust you.
Right.
Which is very, again, strange.
At the very end, that Sith makes an appearance where he's like, yeah, to kill a Jedi, you shouldn't use steel or laser bolt.
What I find interesting though about the Sith character is that in all the other episodes with Star Wars, it's like the Siths were like not pretty. It was like they looked evil. They looked like they were meant to do something bad. Right. But with like this guy, it was just kind of like, why is he good looking?
Right.
Like, what is this?
I think they said in their interviews they wanted to make the Sith sexy or something like that.
Yeah, like what is that about?
Why?
I don't know if they tried to make it like into like a fangirl type of situation where, oh, girls are going to like him, so let's put him in there.
Episode 2. Literally, the Jedi miss May's presence. She gets into the temple where Torben is, and he's just floating up, meditating for whatever reason. They don't even notice her. I have no idea why.
She just goes. I'm like, okay.
So she convinces Torben to kill himself. We have no idea why. He just drinks the poison.
He did. He did do that.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, okay then.
Yeah.
So he's dead.
He's gone.
We don't figure out why until much later on.
Also, Saul trusts May for no reason when they decide to confront her finally. He stops Osha from going out to meet her at the same time, and he says, have faith in May. My brother in Christ, he has already killed 2 Jedi. Why would she stop there? Like, what is the source of this trust?
I think it's because he wanted to constantly see the good in people. There's always that one character.
Episode 3, we find out May and Osha's childhood, right? We find out that they both use their force passively. One of them gently kind of holds a butterfly for a bit, while the other one almost like force chokes it. And I came up with a theory from this point that May is a childhood psychopath.
But it is very interesting that your first instinct when you see something as pretty as a butterfly to kill it.
Right, like she almost, I don't think she kills it, but she almost does.
To try to.
Finally, during the power of cringe, the power of 2,
and the whole scene was cringe.
It was a pretty cringy thing because on Brendok, this cult here that we're talking about, they're kind of like an off-brand Night Sisters. The Night Sisters did it better in my opinion. But yeah, we have the power of 1, the power of 2, the power of many, and it's like, okay. Jedi come in, and Saul immediately just gives Osha his lightsaber, and I'm trying to figure out, my brother, why? She might stab herself at that. They find out that Osha and May are both immaculately conceived. They're basically space Jesus.
Yes.
Here's the problem. We already have a space Jesus. His name was Anakin Skywalker. It was a one-time thing because he was prophesied to be the child that would bring balance to the Force.
That's ironic.
That was Anakin's whole sticking point. He's the chosen one. And now all of a sudden, there's two more of them, and they happen before the other one. And it's like, how? But the mom accepts Osha's decision because she likes the Jedi to actually join the Jedi. But May's not okay with that. She tries to burn her sister to death.
She does.
Yeah.
She tries to kill her.
So
which again, like the butterfly.
She confronts her and she says, I'll kill you. You know, and it's like, why would you tell your sibling that?
That's her first reaction.
Right.
It's not to like, please don't go. I will kill you.
I'll kill you.
So you don't go.
Childhood psychopath.
Yeah.
Just saying. May locks Osha in her room and then takes this journal, which didn't really matter before this point, and sets it on fire. And then she just vanishes, and there's a fire outside of Osha's room.
She accidentally
did actually find out. But it was like, before that, it just seemed like she tried to set her sister on fire.
Yeah.
And then later on, you know, all the problems start happening where the fortress starts exploding, and we find all of the witch is dead. Even the mom is dead.
There's no explanation. It's just like, they're just dead.
Right.
It's like, okay.
But for some reason, Saul was there. And I was just trying to figure out why he was there. This comes important later.
Yeah.
So episode 4, you land on this little kind of off-brand Kashyyyk. It's the place where the Wookiee Kelnaka is. I think it's called Korfar. These creepy centipede bugs. And I thought that was pretty cool. And immediately, the worst possible thing happened in this episode. I almost stopped watching the show. This was where May and Kamir, the not Sith guy that she's with, where they're walking to where the Jedi is. Yeah. And all of a sudden, she's like, wait a minute. My sister's alive. She saw her on that other planet. Osha, decided not to shoot her when she was escaping from the Jedi. So she knows her sister is alive. And she just randomly decides, while on her way to kill her next Jedi, wait, this changes everything. She then proceeds to put Kamir in a trap that leaves him literally hanging in the jungle.
Yes.
And he's like, yeah, you know what? My loyalty is to my sister.
Oh, isn't Kamir the... Hold up.
A little pharmacist assistant that she was with, that ended up being the Sith. You realize that's the same person?
Literally did not notice that.
She decides, my loyalty is to my sister. I'll surrender to the Jedi, and they'll take me in, but I'll get to be with my sister. When they're about to close in on Kelnaka's place, we find out Kelnaka is dead. He got assassinated by someone with a lightsaber.
May finds him, right?
I think it's, May finds him, yeah. And now she's cornered because the Jedi are closing in on her location. And all of a sudden now, the Sith appears. We finally get to see some lightsaber combat, and that goes into episode 5. But for some reason, they cooked in Acolyte when it came to the lightsaber battle.
Not all,
but some. But like a decent bit.
Yeah,
like,
a good bit.
And in this one, he just cuts everyone down. Like, it's almost like Star Wars Force Unleashed, if any of you ever played that. Sith versus Saul was pretty good. But then we get to another concern. May wants to surrender, but still tries to kill the Jedi.
That's a scene I didn't really understand. I really did not get that. It's like, you literally say, oh, I'm going to try to surrender. This is to Osha now. And Osha clearly says you're going to be arrested. They're going to try to arrest you. And then when they try to arrest her, she tries to fight back. And it's just like...
Why?
She told you this beforehand. But okay.
And it's not even like the Jedi are trying to come at her with force. One of them literally just grabs her arms and is trying to secure her.
Just to say you're under arrest. That's it.
And the only thing I can think of is May thinking that if they blame me for the death of this Jedi, I'll be in trouble. Ma'am, you've already killed 2 of them. What's one more on your record at this point? What are you fighting for? But she just forgets her previous motivation because I guess they chose a different writer for the scene. Goldfish Lady fights the Sith and it's pretty good. She ends up doing dual wield and stuff, but she ends up getting like stab. Like, good God.
It's a stab for me.
That's literally what he did. And then we get the reveal of who the Darth guy is. It's Kamir, right?
Yes.
As you just found out. I'm trying to figure out, how did you have that outfit with you? Like, where were you carrying that? He then says, like, you know, I literally just don't like you guys because you guys won't let me do what I want to do. And I want an acolyte. He says it just like this. And it was just sort of like...
Acolytes.
I was like, my guy, it was better when you just had the mask on and didn't talk.
Yeah,
you were way more
just
intimidating.
be quiet.
It was like Kylo Ren.
I was just gonna say that. It was exactly like Kai. Like, as soon as he took that mask off, all the intrigue and like, oh my god, this is a crazy bad guy. Gone.
May shoots Saul with a paralyzing thing. That's when they have that conversation where they're like, hey, you know, you gotta surrender. And she's like, they actually turned you against me. They brainwashed you. And then Osha's just like, listen, you're getting turned in. And then they start fighting and May just knocks her out and leaves her, takes her entire getup to pose as her, abandons her in the forest with creatures that could literally devour her while she's unconscious.
I don't understand that part because it's like, what is your objective?
Right.
That was my issue with this character the entire show. What is the goal here? What is the plan? It's literally at one point she's saying, oh, they brainwashed you against me, but then she was also like, I'm trying to save you type of thing, like I'm trying to be the savior, but then you abandon your sister in a forest.
Right.
It's just like, what? I don't understand. I really think, like you said earlier, there was different writers for every episode, and they weren't actually like communicating with each other. Like, this is what happened in this episode, so this has to be cohesive with the other one. Like, they just did whatever they wanted to do.
What's the point of not trying to murder Saul? You have your sister now. Like, you're literally like, I'm going to be with my sister. What? Why are you now trying to murder Saul? So now we get to episode 6. May is still trying to kill Saul. Like, she even tries to sneak up on him, but he turns around and stops him. I'm just saying, if you're trying to still be with your sister that you just abandoned to her death, maybe don't kill her father figure.
Maybe.
I think you've killed enough of her parental figures. No? Just saying. Like, Kamir has taken Osha to a weird water rock planet. We see him now, and he gets naked in a pool. And Osha's spying on him, and I'm just wondering, how did we get from the greatness of like Revenge of the Sith, where they're fighting over lava, to me watching this guy strip naked and her watching?
That's why I honestly think they were trying to gain like female viewers.
I think so.
Cause like there is no way, like what was the point of those scenes?
Right.
Other than to like interest people into some type of romantic story. A weird one, but one nonetheless.
Right. But back on the ship, May resets Pip. Which I like Pip, and I don't like that she reset him because he never gets turned back to his normal self in the series.
No.
And then, positive. Saul stuns May with the stun gun. Oh, the relief.
You were like, finally.
The Jedi, they arrive on the planet where all the massacre happened, where Kamir killed the other Jedi. In this episode, May gets restrained. I love that because I don't want her to do anything. She'll just become more stupid. We get a little bit more of a flashback of what happened here at the very end of the episode, and we get an idea of what happened at the fortress at Brendog. Here's the crazy thing. Keep this in mind. Mother Anastasia uses her mind ability, her witch mind abilities, to torment Torben, basically, or like to influence his mind to be like, you want to go home, right? And he's like, yes.
Yeah. She basically saw him as super weak and was like, perfect.
Right. Literally paralyzes him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, do you guys want your guy back? I'll be honest, that was kind of a little bit intimidating. He goes like, just paralyzed his mind with just not even looking at him.
See, that's what I would have liked to see more of, is a little bit more of them, because they seem like stronger characters to me. They seem to make a little bit more sense than Osha and May.
I'm really glad Indara is dead. Naomi, I'm glad she's dead. And this is the reason why, right?
That escalated so quickly.
She kept telling Saul in this episode, stop trying to make Osha your Padawan, okay? Like, it's just your feelings, okay? It's just what you want for her. It's not what she wants. Literally, you can just read her mind. Osha, up to this point, has been like, I want to be a Jedi. I want to be a Jedi. And Indara's like, stop trying to explain her thoughts for her. What do you mean? She's literally like gravitating towards you. At episode 7 now, so we got the last 2 here. Saul's crime. So it all starts with Torben being like, oh, they find out that Osha and May are special. So Torben is like, if we get her, we can go home. So he just zooms off to the fortress for whatever reason. Saul goes with Torben now. And the witches confront them, and Mother Anastasia walks in. Keep in mind, she's against the whole fight they're about to have. May runs in. She's like crying because she just realized she's at the fire. She runs into the middle of this like almost fight. She's like, Mom, help! I need help. Oh, what do you need help with? What happened?
She doesn't say anything, no details.
Keep in mind, May has not said what the problem is. Then all of a sudden, Torben and the horned head lady, they both draw their weapons, and the mom's like, no! She just transforms into this dust monster and starts transforming May into this dust monster. Now, also keep in mind, Saul, who is here, thinks that May is Osha. He's confused the two, but he thinks that that's Osha, who he's trying to protect. And now, all of a sudden, he's seeing the mom casting these witch powers, and up to this point in time, when he's been spying on them, he's been thinking that they're using the kids. So when he sees her transforming into a dust monster and pulling May apart, it seems, into dust, he takes his lightsaber, stabs her. She just looks at him and she's like, I was going to give her to you.
There's so many annoying parts to that scene.
Right.
Bro. Like, really? How was he supposed to know that?
Right.
You never vocalized this.
Right. We get to the bridge scene. What happens here is that, I'm gonna reenact this.
Oh.
May! Osha! May! Osha! May! Osha! They're just standing on this bridge while everything's exploding around them and the bridge is about to fall.
It feels like forever. They just calling each other's names, I
Right.
swear to you.
Right.
And it's just like, dude, figure something out here.
They just stay on this bridge that's obviously about to fall, and they just keep reaching each other out to each other's like this, and it's like, what are you trying to do? They make Saul have to choose, even though I think someone pointed out in a video I watched where they were like, he could have literally just lifted them up.
Yeah, with the force, right?
Yeah. He drops May, which thank God, but at the same time, it's like he saves Osha obviously because she's the one that he wants to invest in. I think before this though, we had the Wookiee Jedi fight.
Yes,
which was epic. It's like watching a gorilla with a lightsaber. It's he's got strength.
He gets possessed by the witches.
Yeah, the witches literally possess the mind of Kelnaka, which again we didn't even see him arrive yet. We knew they were in a starship. We didn't see them arrive. He's just possessed and he shows up. The witches are all like. So he ends up like smacking the crap out of Saul and Torben, right? And Dara arrives and she kind of like tackles him to the ground, right? Like really cool, tackles him to the ground. And she starts forcing the witches out of his mind.
Yeah.
Problem. The witches start fighting back. And then Indara pushes a little harder. And then all of a sudden the witches are like...
I have so many questions. Why did it take so many of y'all to possess one person? One Wookiee?
When your master literally could do it without looking.
Really? On top of that, too, it's just like, how does that take so much energy out of you? Like, what, in terms of the Force, like, for you to be knocked out, like, what?
Not the Force, the thread.
Okay.
The thread.
Yes, the thread.
And I like to say an example to this. It's kind of like that scene from Lord of the Rings 2 Towers when Gandalf forces Saruman out of Theoden's mind. I'm such a nerd. I swear to God.
Lord of the Rings.
I had an example.
How did we get here?
Right? Here's the thing. They fall unconscious.
This is why in that first episode or second episode? Yeah, first episode where we just see them, like, we thought they were dead, but they weren't actually dead. They were just passed out.
I thought, like, there's no way that could have killed them because they just got forced out of someone's mind. If you're witches, why would that make you unconscious?
Unless the thread was a little bit more powerful than they thought it was going to be.
Episode 8 is where...
There were a lot of frustrations with that last episode, I'm not gonna lie. When I watch reviews about this show, that was the most frustrating episode for everybody.
For whatever reason, Mr. Sith, right, keeps putting emphasis on you have to kill without a weapon. And it's like, why? Literally every single Sith that we've seen kill Jedi in any part of the series has done so either with, like, lightsabers or with a combination of lightsabers and force powers and lightning. There's no need to kill a Jedi without a weapon in this one. Like, why are you trying to get your Acolyte killed?
I just think they wanted to make it seem like he was just this extraordinary villain.
His combat skills were, mind you, but not him as a character, no.
There wasn't much to him.
Right.
Like, at all.
So there's a cool chase scene where May, back in the current time, she gets away from Saul. She gets out of her restraints and she takes off in an escape pod. And Saul has to chase her through this planetary ring. And it was a pretty cool scene, I'm not gonna lie. We get introduced to this plot point where there's an anti-Jedi senator. He doesn't trust the Jedi, and there's alluded to be this sort of conflict from the past between him and the Jedi, between him and the Green Lady. And I thought that was an interesting plot point. I wanted to see, like, what's he up to? Like, what is he gonna do? But then you never get explored with that one. Mr. Sith literally is kind to Osha for whatever reason. Before they leave the cave, Osha finds out where May and Saul are. And so they go out there. We got a Darth Plagueis cameo. It's that thing in the cave.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of like, that alien is literally the reason why we get the prequel trilogy. Like, he's literally the whole reason that happens. You don't see him, of course, in the movies, but, like, he's foundational to it. And they just reduce him to a little creeper in the cave. Major concern. Mr. Sith then travels with Osha, who is trying to save her master, and she's going to bring the person with her who is trying to kill her master. Yeah. So they get on the planet, they got on Brendok, the same place where the Fortress Monastery was. And we get the final fight between Mr. Sith and Saul, which, keep in mind, would not have happened if she did not bring Mr. Sith with her. Kind of counterproductive to try to save a person and also bring someone who's trying to kill them. And then actively tries to kill them. Osha and May, they have a little moment I thought was pretty good, where they're like, Osha is explaining why she never became a Jedi. We really get a bit more of her character in this scene, because she's like, I couldn't be a Jedi because I couldn't deal with the hatred I had for you in killing our family. And I thought,
so she failed.
Yeah, she failed. And she failed because of you. I thought that was a pretty good scene.
Like, she never could get to the level of, what you call it?
Right.
Of expectation that was set.
This is where I think this series, this is the moment it really died for me. Saul explains to Osha that he was the one who killed her mom, which is true. But again, as we said earlier,
because he had this little like moment where he just like blurted out everything that he said. When she was like, you know, did the stun gun, he had her like captured on the ship. He was just like, I have a lot to say, and you're gonna sit and listen to me say them. It was like he had his like weird power trip moments. It's just like, you're gonna listen. You're gonna like it.
Now it's like, okay, so they know now, and we saw it from the last episode. I'd say Saul is only really guilty of manslaughter, and it was the manslaughter of a stupid person. He does an absolutely terrible job of explaining himself. He's like, well, you said I didn't mean to do all that, and this and that, and then Osha's just listening like, why didn't you tell me that? And then she just starts choking him.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like,
Stop talking.
She's choking him out, and he's just like, it's okay. I understand. And she literally chokes him to death. She kills Saul, her father figure, in a fit of rage. She kills him like he's dead.
But the thing is, he didn't even try to fight back at all. So it obviously shows me like this is probably in his mind. He feels this is penance for killing their mom. But the thing is, it's not really his fault. But anyway.
like most things in this show, I'm not trying to defend Saul, but because I have my own critiques of him. But I think at this point, even if Saul was trying to just have that penance moment, it shouldn't have really been a penance moment in my eyes, because it's like, ma'am, this is your father figure. This is your master. I figure she's just going to choke him a little bit, then let go and be like, and then do everything else. She just kills him. And
what was the...
at that point, I was just watching the series to finish it.
Like, honestly,
like one of my least favorite characters kills my favorite character in the show. The Sith guy tries to comfort her, but she's like, pulls out Saul's lightsaber and it turns red, which I'm pretty sure that's not how that works, because kyber crystals, I'm pretty sure it's a set color scheme they've got going on. But that just happens for whatever reason. They now have to escape, because the Jedi arrive shortly after this, right? And they come to that same tree where Saul initially found them. And they decide, okay, Kamir's going to wipe her memory.
A's memory. And Osha's going to leave with Kamir.
Osha's going to leave with Kamir, I'm assuming, to kill... Actually, we'll get to that. She erased her memory.
That's another part that didn't make sense to me, but let's continue.
She did not have to kill Saul, but anyway.
Yeah, a whole couple of days after he finished the show, he was still mad.
I was still mad at her for making me watch it. Jedi end up finding May, and she has no idea what happened because Kamir wiped her memory. The Green Lady, which this is the reason why I'm going to hate her more than anything, she decides to do a whole cover-up. She blames Saul for the deaths of his own teammates, whom he was really chill with. He blames him for all of that, saying he was trying to cover up what he did. And they made a pact to not say what happened. Because she found
his body.
When she was in the courtyard in the fortress, she senses what happened that night. So she decides to blame everything on him in order to hide the fact that there are Sith. And the reason that she hides the fact that there are Sith is because that Sith was literally her former apprentice. He's like that because of her. And she decides to besmirch Saul's entire reputation because of her own screw-up.
Which I find interesting, because the entire show she was like, my friend this, my friend that, he was a good person, he was my friend. I'm like, girl, shut up.
Fake.
You're fake.
The practical problem with that was, if there are suddenly Sith, and you just saw that one literally butcher like 8 different Jedi, why would you want to cover that up and hide that?
It'll come out eventually.
Right. Oh, actually, before we get to that, when she's talking with May, she literally is like, okay, you poor girl, you poor child who's definitely killed like 3 of my friends. Don't worry, we'll help you out. They're on the beach. This is the last scene in the Acolyte. Osha is on the beach or something with Kamir, and they start holding hands, which... just imagine it's on
like
the Death
She-Hulk
Star.
all over again.
Oh, God. Just imagine on the Death Star, Darth Sidious just like holds hands with Anakin, or like right after Revenge of the Sith, they just like...
I'm putting that in my mind right now, and it's hilarious. They should make that into a t-shirt for real.
Yes. I'm assuming from this point forward, right, she's going to try to kill more Jedi, I'm assuming. Because the Jedi killed my family. Yeah, those 4 were kind of, sort of, but not really responsible for the deaths of like 1 of your family members, and then the rest literally burned to death because of what your sister did, which for some reason you didn't seem to connect the dots
at all.
At all.
What's crazy though is how quickly, just because she found out that Saul had killed her mother, that she just forgot what May did. Completely. Like, oh, it doesn't really matter. I'm mad at you right now.
Right, because literally, we know they could not have been killed when they got forced out of Kilnaka's mind.
Yeah.
Literally, they were just unconscious. And the fire that May set blows up the fortress and most likely burned the entire coven to death. But for some reason, we just home in on the fact that Saul killed the mom.
Did she even let him finish explaining before she cut him off? Like,
Not
did
really,
he get
no.
the whole story out?
No, he
So
didn't.
she doesn't even know.
She doesn't even know. She just killed him.
It would have made so much more sense to have her just like, you know, do a little bit of squeezing and then let him go.
That's what I thought would
You know
happen
what I'm
too.
saying? Like, don't kill him yet.
Right.
Jeez.
She just left him alive. I could kind of understand her wanting to just retreat from everything else. Like, probably not
It
join the
would
dark
make
side.
sense.
It would make sense that she just like has nothing to do with the Jedi anymore. She kills him, and then she goes on to now obviously train with Khmer as his new acolyte. What's going to happen is that's the end of the movie. That's the end of the series.
Yeah.
Sorry. Literally, I assume she's going to go train to learn to kill more Jedi. The problem with that is the ones who were involved in the, I don't want to say involved because they didn't even kill them directly, except for like one of them. They're all dead. Literally, Kalnaka, Indara, Torben, and even Saul.
Yeah.
They're all dead now. Who are you getting revenge on? After this point, you're literally just going to be killing Jedi who had nothing to do
with it.
And the thing is, they're going to be able to do it because the Master, the Green Lady, literally was like, I'm going to cover all of this up so that the Jedi don't even know that there was a Sith. At the very end, they have a cameo with Yoda when she comes to speak with him.
Yeah, at the very end.
I was just, I literally almost flung my remote at the TV screen. I was like, you keep my boy out of this.
Right? At least. That's the least you can do.
That's the least
After making this trash show, you put Yoda at the end. Like, it's just lazy.
It's just my final thoughts, right? I looked into the interviews of the people who made this, and their primary concern was the diversity of the cast. And you saw this a lot with the on-screen characters. It always be at least one scene with approximately 2 black people on it, and it was only black. It was barely ever like, oh, she's Asian, she's Indian, or whatever, different backgrounds, only black.
And don't get me wrong, obviously, if you have a character in there that just happens to be black, they execute the character well, okay, whatever.
Right.
But when you purposefully go out and say, I specifically want a black person in this scene because they're black, that's a problem for me. Why is it not about the writing being good?
No.
Why is it not about the character making sense?
Right. Or something was so racially diverse that I barely saw any aliens on it.
It's so frustrating to me.
Right.
And that's the other thing. It's like,
Yeah.
isn't it supposed to be diverse in terms of the alien sense?
Yes.
Like different species?
Yes.
Like, I don't understand.
Yes.
What?
When questioned about this, George Lucas actually in an interview said, someone told him, it's all about white people. But he was like, no, that was never the point.
No,
it was
it's not
about
the point.
the aliens were there.
It's the
like,
fantasy aspect.
right. It was like, you can have people who are like, literally, they have 2 eyes that are separated from their body. You
Yeah, we're
have
in
shark
space.
people. Right. It was never about white people.
I just
Everything.
think that's a very single-minded, again, way
Very.
of looking at things. And it makes sense, too, because the characters in the show are single-minded. So it makes sense
Right.
the writers would be as well.
Right.
So,
And I can't even tell the difference from the character of May/Osho and the actual actor. Reason being,
Oh, like the actual person.
yeah, because they're both so incredibly
Annoying. Speaking of which, obviously after the cancellation, well, no, before the cancellation, she had put out a music video, quote unquote. She's just like, F your discourse. And she's just doing this the entire video.
She does it in a really quiet voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very quiet. After the show gets canceled, she has to put out another response. And she has to let you know, again, even though she said this many times already, that they got a lot of hate. What did she say exactly? The alt-right conservative types. And also that we live in a very hyper-divisive echo chamber. And I just think it's very interesting that she said that, considering that the show was hyper divisive itself. If you look at it for all the different aspects that a lot of people probably missed, if you really watch them, you see a lot of things that were like hidden in there, and it's very divisive. So I just think it's hilarious that she said that. It's so ironic.
Also, go vote. That's what she said.
Oh yeah, at the end, go vote.
Because somehow that will make everyone who hates Star Wars Acolyte not hate Star Wars Acolyte.
You have enough issues to deal with. Why would you reach into the political sphere?
Right.
Leave that alone. Whoever is going to vote is going to vote. You don't have to be told to vote if you were going to do it anyway. Now, if you're trying to tell people who to vote for, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it was just weird.
Weird.
Like, girl, be quiet.
Right.
Like, that's how I feel. Like, I have yet to see the other castmates make as much of a fuss as she has.
Not as much as her.
They just was like, okay, well, they cancel it. Let's move on to the next show.
Yeah, they literally just moved on. Everyone just moved on. But from watching the interviews with the other characters, and they were talking about how this would be the most diverse show. It shows strong women. It shows strong black people. It shows strong this and that. And
again, that's the only concern,
right.
not the writing.
Right. Like the main character, Lily, said, finally, I'm going to get to represent that side of the nerd sphere of Star Wars that really hasn't been represented. And like, this is good representation. And I would say this is my last point about this show. Like, I don't think I have much else to say after this. It's the ideological backbone of this thing. It's an entire, almost industry of people who feel that they cannot relate to a character unless they look like them.
That's scary.
Right. It's like, it's also latched onto the idea of you can't relate to, not even just on-screen characters, people, unless they look like you.
Right.
Meaning that you can't relate to their struggles, you can't relate to their loves, their dislikes at all if they don't look like you. I always thought it was a limited view, because for me, literally, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars literally is not even the same sex as me and is a different species. Ahsoka. She's one of my favorite characters. Literally,
I was just gonna say, is it Ahsoka?
Yeah, literally one of my favorite characters. Cad Bane, who's literally not even, he looks nothing like me. The man is blue. Literally, he is blue with red eyes. But I love this character, and I can relate to a lot of the stuff that happens in the show. Like Hondo.
Even though they're aliens.
They're aliens.
They're literally not even human.
They're not even human, and for some reason, I like them. I relate to them more than these people who they say look like me, because at the end of the day, it's not about the characters looking like you. It's about the fact that they struggle and that they fight, and they have wishes and dreams just like you, and they're going to keep going until they do it. It's very close-minded.
Yes.
It's very close-minded.
Very.
And it's just sort of like, I don't understand.
And that's exactly why Disney probably will never grow. And just to wrap it up, I have one last thought to share. I think it was Amanda herself when she was doing an interview with, I think it's Leslie. I think she was the director of the show. I think she had said something to the effect of, you know, the audience, like the fans of Star Wars in general, like the first couple of episodes, was 4 through 6, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. In the 80s? Or late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, I mean the original trilogy?
Yeah, the original.
Yeah, that would have been like, I think, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Around there, she was saying, even though she wasn't even born yet, mind you, she was saying that she was going to be happy when she saw more diversity, because in this show, she's saying that more diversity in cast would bring out more diverse fans in terms of the fan base being diverse itself. And I just thought that was so crazy, considering they literally have footage of Black people coming in swarms to go see Star Wars movies and literally being interviewed by these people when they were going to go see them. And I'm like, the fan base has always been pretty diverse. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, you think you're special? It just came across as, you know, we're doing something new, and, you know, we're better than our predecessors, and we're doing it better. We're doing a much better job. And it's just like, are you though?
Are you though? You have more money, but for some reason, the less people like you.
The budget has expanded. The like to dislike ratio in real life is just
insane.
Crazy. But that's going to be it for this video. We had to talk about all the other things, you know, to kind of close the remarks and stuff. But I'm just going to let you guys tell me your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to check out Michael's channel, Mike Dice Writes. I'll link it in the description. Subscribe to him. He makes content regards to history, mysteries, you know, missing ships and all that stuff. Or did you want to explain it better? Because that's your channel.
That's fine. That's, you pretty much nailed it. Missing ships, yeah.
Okay, but yeah, y'all go head over to his channel, subscribe. But that's going to be it for us. We'll catch you all in the next one. Let me know also if y'all want me to bring him back for like another like review or two. Who knows? But we'll catch y'all in the next video. Bye.
And may the thread be with you.